Right, what we up to now? Maybe episode 6, I think. Yeah, she runs quite nicely. Now that I know that, we're going to move on. I do want to tear this bike down a little bit more, and I wanted to make sure that it ran well before I started getting too far ahead of myself. But yeah, I'm happy with how it's running. So today, being October the 4th, I'm going to start taking some bits off. Not really sure. There's no system to this. I'm just going to do things as I fancy them. This whole back bit here where the lights are and the number plate goes is looking a little bit knackered, to be honest. So I might start there. Where else could we go? Take the clocks off. Take the screen off. Indicators. I could maybe look at the caliper. I am going to take the forks off and do the fork oil at some point. I'm going to check and re-grease the bearings here. Sprockets to come off, chain, both wheels I want to take off, clean properly, maybe paint. Need to investigate the brakes. So there's a lot to do. I'm not going to go at this in any particular order. I've only got an hour before I've got to go off to work anyway, so I'm just probably going to start taking some of the easier stuff off. It's just me today, no Kieran, so it'll be a little bit slower going, but I'll see how I get on. Whenever you take an old bike apart, you always find some of the previous owner's bodged jobs. Some of them better than others. Personal hate of mine is these chocolate block electrical connectors. I feel like if you're messing with vehicle electronics, you should probably do a good job either soldering it or with at least some insulated connectors. Yeah, not really a fan of the chocolate block. So you can see I've got the headlight off, clock's almost off. All of this wiring was inside the headlight, so it was a bit of a faff to get that out. But we're getting there on that front. Obviously the tank's off, the battery's back off on charge. I removed the rear bracket here, the grab handles, and that's it so far. Going to carry on, take a few more things off and get back to you. It's a lovely day today. We've got some really nice light. It's the kind of light by which you can see a clutch cable hanging up from the shed roof. So yes, I've taken the clutch cable off. It felt a little bit stiff, but it needed to come off anyway, just because of all the other work that I'm doing. When it came off, it gives you the opportunity to move the inner cable through the outer cable and feel what resistance is there. There was too much resistance for my liking. I think it was quite dirty in there, full up of road grime and general filth. So what I've done is I've hung it from the shed roof, as you can see, and then I've put quite a lot of the GT85 or WD-40 or whatever you want to use down the top, and it's just slowly working its way down and dripping out the bottom. When you get these new, they are not lubricated with oil. They're not meant to be lubricated with oil. It's meant to be a dry action of the inner cable through the outer cable. But I found if your clutch cable is quite old and quite sticky, you can breathe a little bit more life into it by doing this before you actually replace it fully. And as this is a budget build, I'm taking that option this time. already with the WD-40 through. I've just worked the inner through the outer cable and it does feel better already. It will need replacing at some point, but for now that'll have to do. We've got more of the front end stripped down now. I've got all the throttle off and all the levers off, so the bars are just on their own, just held on with the 4 there in the middle. I'm going to leave those on for now so that I can move the bike around, put it back in the garage and so forth. What I did discover is these bar end weights, proper bar end weights. They are quite hefty, obviously fit in there and stop some of the vibrations on the handlebars, so that's a nice little find. Look who's just arrived on his little YBR. It's Kieran. He's just getting back from work, not here, presumably he's been home first, and I'm just getting ready to go to work. The joy of working in shifts. How's it going, boss?
Pretty good. A little bit hectic on the roads at the minute.
Bit busy. Wow, what's going on?
Just everyone, I think, is trying to get home.
Just that kind of time.
Whole bunch of learners knocking around.
Oh, learners, not L-plate people.
Oh, all over the shop.
Amateurs.
Amateurs.
Come and see what I've been up to. The observant amongst you might have noticed that we've just taken off the brake caliper and brake line and brake lever all in one go rather than detaching the various parts. And you might ask why the hell we've done that. Well, over here on the master cylinder you can see that the screw down there is not great, but the screw up there has been completely chewed by somebody at some point.
It's screwed, John.
It's what?
It's screwed.
That screw is screwed. So yeah, I've not got replacements for those yet. I didn't want to attempt to get violent with that at this point. So we just decided to take the whole lot off in one go and worry about that when the replacements arrive. Well, time is a cruel mistress, and it's my time to go to work. Well, near. So I've got to put the wheel back on just so I can get this thing back in the garage. But as you can see, the front end is more or less stripped down. The only things left are the handlebars, which are just the 4 bolts there. Going to leave those on so I can move the bike, and the forks, which are held here, here, here and here. So next steps after, well, I don't know when we'll be working on this next, in a little while anyway. Next steps will be probably
hover bike inception.
And after that, we might do the fork oil on those front forks, clean those up. I'm going to do the bearings here and bearings here, top and bottom. I'm going to clean those out and re-grease those. Try and maybe polish the fork stanchions there and basically tidy up the front end. I'll have a look at the brakes and the caliper, etc. Maybe just work on the front end first and then head backwards. But for now, that's the front end dismantled.
I bid you adieu.
I bid you adieu also, Kieran. Goodbye.